And it says we are live.
Yo, what's up?
What's up? Now watching the stream to see when it starts. It should be about 30 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it usually
There
has
it
about...
comes. There it is. Oh, there's the ugly person right there. Oh, there's the beautiful person. Ah, there's the ugly guy again. Time to put the hangout back over the top of it.
Who are you calling the ugly guy again, Jimmy?
The ugly guy's me. You're the good looking one.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
We don't have Daniel this week.
We're screwed.
He's the sexy man. I wish I could grow a beard like that.
Dude, I got like some beard thing going on that I need to shave off again. It's driving me insane.
I guess better tweet out the link.
I already tweeted out the link.
Oh, did you? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I see Calvin in the chat.
Yeah. You know, I gotta assert my dominance in chat so that way nobody walks all over me.
You got the wrench.
Oh man, I guess we'll just give it a couple minutes for people to come on in, and then we'll start talking safety. I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Don't
want to rip them off from our horribly bad ideas.
I see they've got 3 people watching now.
Oh, cool.
I think we're good then.
Okay. Do we want to mention the C-dub? Don't try this at home fire extinguisher method that we were discussing.
I should have brought my drawing with me.
That thing, I can probably replicate it if I grab some paper in a minute. Here's my thoughts. If we do that, my only thing is we can't show in detail how we built it, just because I don't want somebody trying to replicate it and then having it go wrong and, you know, that sort of thing. But I think it would be cool just to show like an overview of how it works and be like, okay, if you're going to build this thing, you better be smart enough to figure it out yourself. Otherwise, we're not telling you how to do it. We don't want people blowing themselves up.
I thought about trying to do a little build video while I was starting to work on it, and that's like, maybe I better not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's fine to show the finished product and explain how it works, but going into details, I'd be absolutely petrified to do that. I think we're going to have some heavy disclaimers at the beginning of that video.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, pretty much we're going to say this is for entertainment purposes only, and we're not liable if you do anything dumb. Case closed.
I see we got the guests in here. Hello, how you doing? Lucky. How you doing, Curtis?
All right, I guess we can get started then. It's a party. We got 2 other people in chat.
That works for me.
That works for me.
Hey guys, so this week's Jimmy Shaw's Tidbits. Alongside me here is
C-Dub on the crappy internet connection. So sorry if my audio goes all digital, goes do a lot and all that stuff. So bear with that. I mean, it looks good on here, but I can't tell what it's like on your guys' end. So if it becomes really bad, let us know in chat, and Jimmy might have to shut my video screen off so I go audio only, but that's the reason why. No, my cell phone would not be much better. My service has been cutting in and out all day, so I don't trust it.
I see we got Daniel Norrie in the house. What's up? What's up?
Okay, so for this week's topic, Jimmy and I were thinking of actually talking about 3D printer in general safety stuff, and we're not just talking the articles that are kind of iffy about like, oh, if you huff too much of the fumes, you will die of cancer in 2 months. Articles. We're talking more kind of like fire safety, print safety, and just general safety stuff. So do you want to, you know, which part do we want? And then we're also going to be talking about an upcoming video, which is a few months out because we've had to order some things from overseas for it. It's going to be fun when we go together to do it because that thing is going to be like a childhood dream come true. But yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Do you want to kind of get started with your ideas of like your opinions of like, shall we say, personal protective equipment when doing 3D printing, like support removal and things like that, and removing prints from a bed, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, when removing prints from the bed, one thing that was a lifesaver was when I got this, because I've tried using knives and like a chisel and that kind of stuff, but the nice thing about this is that it's got enough of a blunt edge to it to where it's not going to slice you unless you really go into it. But it especially whenever I was using the glass bed on my i3, it just worked out a lot better. I wasn't as fearful about the glass breaking and causing problems that way. Because with it, sometimes it'd stick so much I'd actually have to take something and hit the print in order to break it loose. And so I got to the point where I could actually take this and slide it, at the edge of it, and just use the palm of my hand and give it a pop. And a lot of times it would pop loose.
One interesting thing I will note is Joel actually interviewed Kayla from BuildTech at Maker Faire last year when they finally came out with this, when they like had the spatula with them, because the year before they were still prototyping the flex plate and they hadn't come out with this. And he actually asked her why the edge has to be so blunt. And I guess the reason why is anything thinner on the edge would actually be considered, I believe, either a weapon or a knife. And the legal department was not cool with the potential liability of that. So they literally made the edge to like the bare legal minimum that it could be. And their thing was, if you sharpen it more, that's totally on you. But it's kind of like when you sell somebody an unsharpened knife and they sharpen it. But I do have to agree, now that I have the flex plate, I don't really have a need for the tool, but I keep it around for those prints where it might be easier to use or things like that. But yeah, this is definitely well worth, I think it's like the $20 or so to get one. It's a lot cheaper than a trip to the ER with like stitches and bleeding everywhere and terrible nerve damage and horrid things like that. Because I'll admit, back in the day, I used to do some scary things with paint scrapers and stuff. And I look back and go, wow, I'm glad I got all 10 of these guys still intact.
Yeah. The Guinness says he used to print at nights and when not at home, but after seeing some videos or photos of burning printers, he doesn't do it anymore. And that's one of my biggest fears about 3D printers is all the stories about the fires and everything. So, but the thing is, I'm at the same time, I can't start a print and then babysit it all the time, because with work, with everything else that goes on, it's something where I have to trust it enough to leave it. And that's one thing that actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That's one thing that I was been thinking about for some time. Let me see if I can bring this up here, if you don't mind, Calvin.
That's fine. No, I think it's a great segue into, if we want to talk about it now, it's actually a great segue into the project that we're planning on doing in a couple of months. And it'll make more sense once Jimmy brings his thing up on the screen. But
Here
we were
go.
actually discussing like how hard would it be to, one, get a printer fire to happen, and two, how big could it potentially become? It's like in the case of my Ultimaker, I'm not too worried because the thing is mostly metal, but I do get a little bit worried with the Thingomatic or other machines that are made from like birch plywood. I mean, wanted to catch on fire. It burned really good. Although I will
Exactly.
although I will say this much though, from researching stuff, is a lot of the plastics and things used today are designed to be self-extinguishing. So, which means that they were own, but the is on the floor and carpet. I've left lots of prints like
I think I'm losing Calvin.
Into the heater and up in temperature, it'll
Calvin, I think I lost you.
I
Yeah, it looks like we're losing him there for a little bit. I go ahead and while his connection's coming back, let's go ahead and I'll show you this fireball thing that I've been looking at. So I've been looking at this thing for some time now, and actually I've been trying to get a hold of the company to see if there's any way they would like to help sponsor a video, but they've never got back to me. So, but I would love to get one of these to first off to even try out to make sure it actually works. The other thing is to set it up by my printer, above the printer, however that way. The cool thing about these, whenever the fire touches them, there's a fuse that runs around around the ball. And when it catches, it just pops. It just has a little explosive charge in it that pops it, and it throws fire retardant everywhere and snuffs out the flames. Have we got you back, Calvin?
Can you see me?
There, he's back.
I'm giving it a try on my cell phone now, so fingers crossed. That's why you'll probably see my. You can try closing out my other screen window, so that way nobody has to stare at my selfie from a long time ago.
There we go. Actually, this is a lot better picture and everything too.
That's what I figured. I mean, what literally happened is the screen page just went, oh snap, something went wrong. I tried to reload it and it was like super laggy. So I think what happened is there was a bunch of gap that had built up, and then my phone freaked out. So you know what? I'll run chat on my laptop. Sorry about all the technical issues. Sorry about all the technical issues, guys. It's called the joys of 3/4 of a megabit a second upload if I'm lucky on crappy AT&T DSL. So AT&T, if you're watching this, please send me some faster internet to my neighborhood. You probably know who we are, but you know.
They've been out there enough times trying to fix it.
Based off what the text said, he goes, by the third time they call out a tech in 3 months to your address, you're like on their, oh my gosh, don't let anything else go wrong list.
Okay, so the guy said, LOL, those knives, using only hairspray now, no need to use knives. I have yet to use hairspray. I ought to try that. I see Rick's in the house. How you doing, Rick?
Is that Rick?
So the guest works from home. That's good. That way you can stay close to your printer that way. Yeah, Calvin did sound really cool, didn't he, Curtis?
So do we want to get back onto the fireball grenade topic thingy that we were talking about?
Actually, I see the King of Random is in here. Is that right?
I don't think that's the real Grant. Let me see.
I did not see the message on Facebook. I'll check it out though. I haven't had chats. I have been off. I haven't been really online a whole lot today, to be honest with you.
Sorry, Jimmy. It's not the King of Random. It's another guy.
Rats! My hopes were so high.
So do we want to go back to the fireball grenade thingy that we were talking about right when my internet connection went down the toilet?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll put it this way. I'm not recommending that anybody prints unattended, because I will admit there are times where I freak out about it, but I also realize that it's like, I was at my parents' house. I did the traveling guinea pig print here by Bazooka Plasma, I believe it is. Really nice print. This thing was about 6 to 8 hours at my parents' house, and I set the printer up in my old workshop, which was like 105 degrees on a hot day, in ABS, and the thing printed just fine. I just occasionally would pop in to make sure the print hadn't like split into 3 pieces because it was ABS, but you know, it's like that printed fine. But I also kind of feel like higher end printers tend to, one, have better electronics and better setup. So the likelihood of an electrical fire or things burning out is still there, don't get me wrong, but the odds of it are a lot lower because they're not using the world's most awful, cheapest boards with connectors that really aren't up to the task, like those screw terminal things. I hate them with a passion. It's like there's so many like high quality, high current connectors in like the radio control industry it's like, why not use those? They're quick connects. They're designed to handle massive amperage, and they're already existing. But companies are like, oh, we'll just use these crappy screw terminals that like mount on every third printer, and it's still fine. And it's like, oh gosh, really?
I
You
know
know, so
there's in this day and age, there's no reason why they can't just have connectors and do it the right way.
exactly. That's my thoughts. It's like, and this is no knock to anybody's printers or anything, but I just kind of feel like, as it's been said, it's kind of like that race to the bottom. It's like as things get cheaper and cheaper, the quality that was there has just like gone out the window. And quite honestly, it's like if I was to buy another printer, the main reason why I buy a quality one is because I know, one, it's coming with support, and two, it's got the QC behind it. And if anything goes wrong, I can contact the company about it. I'm not worrying about some no-name $10 board from AliExpress that may or may not be the one that nukes a MOSFET and heats up my printed bed to the point that it blows up. And because the MOSFET died, the printer can't shut itself down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's like there are freak accidents that can happen with anything, but it's kind of like, I do though totally respect people who don't want to leave the printer running by itself. But I will say, in my experiences of doing it, the only problems I've run into are, oops, the print failed, I ran out of filament, or the power went out overnight. You know, it's like, but I do totally understand how it could happen. But I will say, part of me though wonders what the heck had to go wrong for somebody's printer to light their house on fire.
Well,
You
that's the
know,
thing. If you have everything cleared away from your printer, I mean, most of your electrical fires, they come up and then they die down pretty fast, unless there's some kind of a fuel source close by to it, paper, uh, plastic,
carpet.
something that's close by to it that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like well, it's like in our. I guess is it cool if I spill the beans now about our idea for the video in the future, like the details of it?
Go for it. Too bad you have your phone. You don't have the picture on where you can show it.
Oh wait, let me try and find it. So here's the thing. Um, Jimmy and I were talking about, it'd be really interesting to not only test out the concept of those fireball things, for putting out a fire and whatnot, but the thing was, I was thinking it'd be interesting to also test, while we're at it, create like a mock wooden printer. It's like the world's crappiest frame, stick some basic stuff inside of it, and you know find out what would it take with like a board over, like create an intentional board that's going to blow up and chug smoke, or like create an intentional electrical fire, and see how hard it is to get a wooden frame printer to, one, ignite, and two, let's say you have other crap lying around, is that going to do anything? So that's kind of our thought process on it. But it would be interesting to see how, one, hard it is, and then two, the other thought is, we because Jimmy was all like, oh, it'd be really cool if we use like these fireball things, and I'm like, well, those are cool, but the problem is they're the powder that they release is extremely corrosive to anything electronic, and it's extremely messy. So I was thinking, oh, well, I wonder if you could do anything with like either like compressed gas, an inert gas like CO2 or something. And then Jimmy's like, oh, well, we could take an old propane tank, pressurize it with air and water, and turn it into C-Dub's fire killer. And I'm like, oh, I'm liking where this idea is going. So the thing's like completely impractical and probably not safe. But what I wanted to do is, I actually initially wanted to compare the response time and the effectiveness of the fireball to, say, like a fire sprinkler that was like set up above. So that was kind of where that project kind of initially evolved from. So eventually, when we get all of our stuff shipped in from China, we're going to get together and actually try and do this as scientifically as we can. But I think it'll be very interesting, and I can expect a lot of really cranky comments in the comment section down below, going, well, you guys didn't test this, well, that wasn't very scientific. And we'll just be like, well, cool, yeah, you can try it out yourself.
Here's my technical drawing.
It's really technical stuff. You got the upside down propane tank, you got some gas hose, and you got the fire sprinkler with the C-Dub chilling underneath.
so bad.
He claims that he was able to get out of art class by drawing like that, and I'm like, really? Really?
I used to draw a whole lot better than that. That was pretty bad. Oh man.
But yeah, the electrical fire thing, I will say, is something that's interesting. Although I do have to wonder, though. I wonder how many of these fires were indirectly caused by the printer. And here's the reason why I say it. Say somebody has Mr. Coffee plugged in, they have um, their juicer plugged in, and they've got their 3D printer, and say like a TV or a laptop or a computer, all running off the same exact circuit. And yeah, the circuit might be rated for 20 amps, but say the circuit's pulling 25 amps and the breaker's gone bad or something, you could very easily overload a circuit, and can't always rely on a circuit breaker to kill the current, especially if there's something wrong with it or something like that. And I almost wonder how many of these have been caused by indirectly just by overloading a circuit, and that's what caused the house fire. But because the 3D printer was there and the fire started near that, people go, oh, well, it was because of the 3D printer. They may have indirectly caused it, but it wasn't like the 3D printer just sat there and poof, burst into flames and bye-bye house, which is sad and tragic and stuff. But it's like, it would be interesting to find out how many house fires are just caused by household appliances overloading circuits just to begin with, not including Mr. Coffee freaks out and decides to commit Mr. Coffee suicide one day and just like takes himself in the kitchen with him. Because like some heater gets stuck on or something. It's like ways that something like that could go, wrong is like scary.
That is. King of Random says firefighter, and yes, they do work. I guess that's referring to the fireballs.
Yeah, I've seen videos of them. They do work. I was just a little bit dubious of them, just in terms of people thinking that, oh, if I just chuck this into a fire, I can instantly put the fire out and I can act like a complete moron and light my house on fire every weekend, and I can throw the fireball in there and it's perfectly fine. But I do like the concept, though. I do think it has some merit. I just think it's like anything else, it needs to be used properly and under the right conditions, or it's like a fire extinguisher that people don't know how to use. It's useless.
Well, the whole thing where I was thinking about getting one of those is like have it where it's either above the printer or close to wherever the circuit board would be, or where I would think that there would be some kind of a ignition source, and have it close to that, so that if it did catch that on fire, well, it's like on this desk here. Okay, so I have my printer sitting on here. I have a mat sitting down. I'm not really sure how this mat is rated. Theoretically, the best thing to do is make sure you have something that's like a fireproof mat or something that's fire resistant, and have your printer on it. That way, if there is any sparks or anything, it's pretty much going to stop it. But if it got as far as catching the table on fire, if you have one of those close by to it, and it starts to catch enough to where it catches that on fire, and pretty much kill it.
Yeah, what I'm genuinely curious about is how much fire will it take to trip that thing, and then how much of a difference will it make? I mean, if anything, if it can knock it down to the point that it's going to go out on its own, probably, cool. If it can knock the whole thing out instantly, even better. If it doesn't do anything, well, great idea, and glad we tested it. But the one thing I will say that I don't know how many you've ordered, but one thing that I thought would be really interesting is, I know that the fireball thing has the fuses running around the outside. It'd actually be interesting to cut the fuses in half, like halfway around the ball, and literally have them hanging down as tentacles above the item. So that way they're much more likely to go off, being that they're just going to be hanging there versus wrapped around the ball, which would give you better response time from the item. So I don't know how many you ordered, but that would definitely be something that would be interesting to do.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Because the main point is we're trying to get the thing to fire as fast as humanly possible without being like it triggers on its own, which I know could not happen, but we obviously want the thing to trip as fast as humanly possible, because the faster it trips, the sooner it puts it out.
Exactly.
So the King of Random is saying, You're better off wiring in a smoke detector to cut the power from the printer. If you don't remove the power source, it continues to generate heat and will rekindle. So your ball idea and CO2 tank will only stop it for a few minutes, which is a good point. But I guess the point that we're trying to make here is you're in the vicinity, you're going to smell and hear it going off, but it's kind of a standalone device that triggers on its own. But he does have a good point. The only problem is the amount of smoke that it would take for a smoke detector to go off, or the other problem is would just the stuff coming off the printer freak it out and set it off. You know, that's another thing to actually try though, is set up a cheap smoke detector that we just buy at the store, set that up and see the response time for that so it can give you an audible alarm. I think we really are getting some good ideas for this. And I figure my thoughts were, because we're gonna have so much time between when we order the stuff and when we do it, I think if we're going to do this, we might as well make the most of our time and effort to do as much as we can. So Rick is saying CO2 needs to be in a contained area. That is a good point. We were actually thinking about inert gas, but then Jimmy was thinking about just using a water sprinkler setup, which I know is not the best idea with electrical stuff. But the whole point is we're trying to do something that can at least knock something down so that way it doesn't spread. There is no perfect solution here. We're just trying to do it as like trying to simulate like an industrial setup without doing an industrial setup.
The idea that you had with using baking soda is not a bad idea either.
Yeah, using compressed air in the tank with a fair bit of baking soda, so at least it kind of dumps something on there would be interesting. But I think we really are going to have some interesting things to check, because I want to test. I do want to check King of Random's idea though of cutting the power. You know, if it starts, does cutting the power in this situation, obviously it's not going to be the same with anything, but does it make a difference? Is it a good idea? It would be a good idea, but more just kind of like, what does it do? You know, what are the effects of it and stuff? But yeah, Rick is right though with CO2. We talked about that initially, but then we pretty quickly thought it was a bad idea, especially for the asphyxiation risk, considering that you can't smell CO2. And the last thing you want to do is go to check up on your printers and get knocked out by your cloud of CO2 that was designed to save your life, and it ends up taking it because you died of asphyxiation or something tragic like that. So we thought about that, but at this point, it's a water-based system. And we also have the powdered baking soda idea, but you know, I just had an idea. It'd be interesting to literally have a bag, like a big old like grocery bag full of baking soda, set up above the printer. And if a fire starts, it's going to melt the bag really quickly. The thing just goes, it just dumps baking soda on the printer.
That would definitely work too.
Or you just take say you take like a nice big freezer bag or two, so that way there's a little bit of protection, so it's not just going to instantly start dumping baking soda on everything. But like test out like what's the lowest tech not fire killing it all instantly method, but like what's the simplest fire suppression method? Because I know people who charge a lot of lithium batteries who are super paranoid will literally take cinder blocks, and they'll put like each battery they're charging inside a cell of a cinder block, and they'll take a bag of sand and put it on top of that. So if a battery catches on fire, literally, it burns through the bag and that's fun and kills it. It's like genius. I don't do that. But it's a really simple and foolproof concept. I mean, you're doing it somewhere that it's like it's not going to cause any problems. It's like on a metal table. But, you know, but the idea is if anything goes wrong, it's self-extinguishing. So that kind of just popped to mind when I thought of that with the bag thing. I'm like, well, the bag isn't a bad idea. Just, you know, give it a shot. You know, but I think this is actually going to be an interesting thing. We might have to break it up into like a couple of segments, but I think we're going to have a lot of really interesting stuff that we're going to come up with. And I think this could actually be, it would be really interesting to get people's opinions when we go out with the video on what they think of it. You know, is it going to change people's opinions about printers catching on fire? Is it going to change people's opinions about what's the best way to detect and extinguish a fire? That sort of stuff. I mean, because I don't have any problems with the fireball thing. The only problem is just spreading that dust everywhere. It's going to be a nightmare to clean up. I mean, my former machine shop teacher back in Southern California, he used to co-own a machine shop that did titanium racing pistons, and they had quite a lot of titanium fires. He was talking about how they would have problems with, somebody would have to set off a fire extinguisher because of a fire, and literally the dust from it got into like all the machines, and they literally had to stop production for like 4 days to go in there, clean off all the circuit boards, drain all the coolant, put new coolant in, take out all the old air filters, throw them out, put new ones in, clean the whole shop, just because somebody had set off a fire extinguisher in there and the dust had permeated just about everything. And if they left it on there, it was just going to like rust the machine out and kill the electronics. So I'm not saying that the fireball isn't a bad thing, but it's just the potential mess that it creates, especially if it was something tiny. Man, that would suck to clean up.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking about with the fireball though is with it, it's on the ready all the time, and then the only time it's going to really pop is whenever the fire gets to the point where it's enough where it catches that ball on fire to where it lights those fuses. Then when it pops, I mean, it's a matter of, do you want to save the house or do you want to save the electronics in the room?
Right, and totally true. That's kind of why I came up with the idea of the bag of baking soda on top is more of a passive, less messy method. But yeah, it's a totally true statement, and that's something that I think we should also show is like how much mess does this create? Just to kind of it's totally a personal decision what you decide to do ultimately, but kind of like, which one do you think is better? Do you have a bunch of sensitive electronics in the area that you really don't want to get damaged? Or is it kind of like, well, this sits in my garage, so if dust gets everywhere, I just take a day or two to clean it off, no big deal. That though that is a good point though, and I'm totally keeping that in mind. I'm just kind of thinking in terms of if it is a tiny, tiny fire that sets it off.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would suck to clean up.
It's like,
but yeah, it's like if something like that sets it off and like the whole area just like filled up with smoke, and you're just like, oh geez, that's the only thing, and it's not to discourage anybody from doing it. It's just I'm always thinking kind of long term, like God forbid this thing accidentally gets set off, how much of a mess would it make? That's all. But it's totally a personal choice though. But I did think though it would be interesting to take one of those cheapy little $60 cameras that I've got, like cover the thing in like a couple layers of aluminum foil and literally like set it up so it's like right where the ignition point is so we can see what's going on. Then when things get going good, we have the thing on a pole or a little tracksuit, go and just pull it out of danger. It's only $60, so as long as it doesn't do what my ocean camera did, we're good.
That's true. Sorry guys, my chat froze up, so I restarted the chat. So I see there's a lot more comments in here, and I think Calvin covered most of them. I see we have Josh in the house. How you doing, Josh?
King of Random made a hilarious comment. He goes, I'm assuming he's talking about after you dump baking soda on. He goes, and you can pour vinegar on it after and make a 3D printer volcano.
That would be funny.
And just like totally destroy everything that's there because the baking soda wasn't bad enough getting into everything. Now you're just gonna throw some caustic vinegar on top and just like completely rust everything to crap, and then you can throw your now totally trashed printer in the trash can and be like, well, that sucks.
That's true. Just dissolve it and be done with it. Take what's that? The battery acid.
Sulfuric acid. Totally hide all evidence of what happened. Oh, look, no more printer.
It's like you're saying like you're doing down in LA when you're using acid to clean the metal.
Oh yeah.
And we're like,
you guys, when that video comes out, you guys get to watch me gagging on muriatic acid fumes. Even though I was in a well-ventilated area and there was a breeze going by, blowing it away from me, I put my head over the bucket and I'm like, oh, like literally it was burning. And I wasn't using very much. I mean, that stuff is nasty.
That is, and that's actually what they actually use for rusting metal. If you takes and you're wanting to, let's say they want to make a metal table like this, and they'll have me sandblast it to where it's white metal. Then they'll take a mixture of muriatic acid along with water and spray that solution over it, let it set for like an hour, and then rinse it off with a garden hose. And the next day they come out and it's just a red rust.
Yeah, in my case, I find it ironic that the very same acids that are used to rust metal can eat the rust off it. It's how you go about doing it. And the main thing was, like I said in the video, is I was just trying to remove that really nasty rust stuff that like rubs off on everything. I knew it wasn't going to be pure metal. If I wanted to do that, I would either take it to you and get it sandblasted, flap disc it, or look into using the electrolysis method. But in my case, it was just kind of like quick and dirty rust removal to see what the base metal was like. And like my dad predicted, phosphoric acid did at least squat on nasty rust.
Yeah.
I mean, it works fine on like really fine rust, or if you're trying to prep metal for paint, it's fine there. But they always tout it as rust remover, and it's like, yeah, no, not in my terms of rust.
What type of rust did that start out with? Was it really thick rust, or was it just a light surface rust?
It wasn't like the world's thickest rust, but it definitely it was kind of like that kind of rust when something is it's kind of like the rust on a table. Yeah, not that bad, but it was Rick, but it was definitely the kind of rust that it's like you'd have to scrub it good with some sandpaper to start to get bare metal coming through. So it wasn't like it was flaking off, but it was definitely to the point where it was red and it was starting to rub off and it was leaving red marks on your hands and it was irritating and it was annoying. I didn't want to track all that inside my car, and I also wanted to see just what the condition of it was because I got it for free. Some neighbors up the street from my parents' house were moving back to Minnesota, and my dad was talking to their real estate agent. And the guy's like, "Yeah, if you guys want to take any metal before the scrappers come and do it." So my dad like bursts into my sister's former bedroom where I was staying because she's now staying in the tiny house. He's like, Calvin, up the street there's metal if you want it. I'm like, I'll be right down. So like crawl down out of bed, throw some pants on, and go running up the street barefoot, practically like, ooh, metal.
I could just see you running down the street trying to get your pants buttoned up. Metal, I gotta get the metal.
I kind of practiced running, putting my pants on when the neighbors lit their kitchen on fire like 2.5 years ago, and the fire department rolled up. That's a whole nother story. But so the stuff was free. I got like 4 feet of like 1 inch, 1 or 1.5 inch, what was it? L-shaped angle iron. And I got like 4 like about foot long pieces of 1 inch square box tubing for free. So I was kind of like, yeah, what the heck? I don't care if it's a little bit rusty. It's going to get rusty up here anyways, but I wanted to try and see what the condition of the base metal was just to make sure it wasn't like totally rusted through and was held together by rust and everything like that. And it was like, oh yeah, that's totally not worth my time. I'm not going to touch that. If that was the case, I would just like put it on the street corner and in 5 minutes it would have gone and been gone. But it was surface rust, but it was enough to be irritating, and it was enough that I wanted to get some of it off. So you'll see in the video, the surface is not perfectly clean, but I only left both acids on there for all of like an hour. So I was also trying to see if you were in a pinch, what was the faster method? I mean, if I had left them soaking for, say, overnight or something like that, I would have gotten it down to bare metal. It just wasn't worth it. I was like, there's no point. I mean, I'm driving away to the next morning. I got to, load up my car and stuff that night. So I wanted to get it done as fast as I humanly could. I waited until the last minute and then remembered about it. But it definitely made for an interesting video, though, for a time crunch, how to go about doing it. So that's why I did what I did.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Although I will admit, sandblasting is sweet.
Yeah, they would have cleaned it up like.
Too bad you're like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive away, or I'd be like, Jimmy, can you sandblast this for me, please? I'll bring you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from out down the street.
Okay.
Jimmy, we can make a video out of it.
I've
So
done
my
brake
dad's
jobs
like,
for burritos.
Jimmy, I'll buy you a wet burrito. Okay, I'm totally down there, dude. I totally bring it out. I need me a wet
What,
burrito from down the street.
what burrito at La Costa? Sold.
So besides my dad constantly asking me how the heck I know Joel and who the heck the guy is, he's like, so wait, how do you know this Jimmy dude again? I'm like, how many YouTubers did I know about? Do you want to know? Oh man, it's great. Okay, before I go any further, I'm now going to. Jimmy has that logo design contest thingy. Is it still going? I think.
It was supposed to end today, but I'll probably wait until this weekend before I'll start putting a video together with the entries.
So I put together one for Jimmy, and right before the stream started, I was frantically printing it out. So this is my submission. Let me move my phone to where the light is.
That's a
This
cool
is
drawing.
this is my 3D printed submission for the Jimmy Shaw's Tidbits one piece two-tone logo that I kept as simple as I humanly could. So that way, because I figured, I saw I can't, I'm not going to say what the other logos look like, but I've seen what they look like, and they're really cool. But I was trying to go for simplicity because, my coin design is really basic, and I wanted something that was really easy to make into some stickers. And let's face it, I like simple. So that's why I came up with that design. And I also wanted something that you could easily 3D print. Say you wanted to hand it out at a show or something like that to all 50 million of your fans, because I know you have that.
50 million.
Oh, it's Rick. Here's your thing, Rick. Oh, thanks, Jimmy. I loved your G-Tech video. Oh my gosh.
Hey, there are two people recognize me. Rick was one of them. And that was the coolest thing ever.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I was standing right there holding the bag of swag going, oh, this is cool. Wish I had that on camera.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
you
I'm
didn't film
sorry.
that.
I know. I was kind of like still trying to get warmed up for Maker Faire at that point. I was just kind of like, no, I'm not gonna film everything. And then I kind of regretted it, but I'm like, you know what? There are certain times during that day where I just was not in the mood to film or do anything with the camera. I'm just like, nope, nope, nope. It's gonna make me more stressed out. I'm just not gonna mess with it. You know.
So I wonder if I
But
print out your logo, if I can print it out big enough where I can have it hanging around my neck.
I think you could. You know what? If you couldn't do it, Curtis could on his Taz 6 probably.
I bet he could.
I mean, I could make this thing big if I wanted to. I just kept it small for the sake of time. It was like a 6-minute print for both colors. It's kind of like,
That
yeah, I'll
looks
just do
cool
that.
though.
It is. I like the simplicity of it. And I figured it would be really cool actually if you made this up and you say you printed like a base color, like gray or something like that. Then you printed like a layer or two of like, in this case, I wanted to do black and red, but I only had orange open. So, so you print like a base color of like a gray or something, or gray or white. You do like a layer or two of the black, and you do like a layer or two of the orange on top of that. And so that way it's not enough that if the nozzle hits it, it's a problem. But then you get that really cool effect, and then everything is held in place, but then you have a backing color as well. So that way it's easy to see.
Yeah, that would be
Curtis is
cool.
saying, we'll max it out if you want, dude. You should totally max it out.
What is the
Come
build
on,
volume of the Taz 6?
I think it's about 12 by 12.
Oh, really? That would be
Let me
pretty
look it up.
sweet.
Because it's 11 by 11 by 9.8. So just about 12 by 12.
Oh, okay.
I mean, my printer's about 8 by 8. So if I wanted to make a big one, I could. I mean, my coin is about 8 inches. I mean, it literally filled up like the whole build volume. I couldn't run a skirt around the print, or I would have ran out of build space actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how big the coin was. It literally was like the maximum size the printer could safely handle without crashing into itself. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit, I almost bought the Formbot T-Rex that my old job had when I was leaving, after I got let go because they were outsourcing the production. And I almost bought it off of them, but I was like, I just don't have space for the thing. It's a clone of a G Max, so it has like the G Max size print volume and stuff. And I'm like, man, if only it wasn't 1.75 and I actually had space for the stupid thing, I probably would have bought it off them. But it was just kind of like, no, thanks guys, but I just don't have space.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the prints that I'm doing now are like little tiny stuff, like the little locomotive thing that I'm doing for Tessa's 30 days of design challenge, for which the video of me speed designing that is popping out tomorrow. I've decided to backdate the videos one day, so that way I have time to film them, get them edited, and then upload them. They're just like a speed with like, oh look, here's the intro, and I'm designing something, and oh, there's music, and here's a rendering at the end. It's nothing fancy, but I decided it'd be kind of cool to show kind of like just the design process that went into it in its own right. But
Yeah.
I've decided to backdate them a day because the third week of August classes start for me, so I'm not sure what my schedule is gonna be like. I'll definitely have time to knock something out, but I didn't want it to be like I upload at 3 p.m. one day and upload at 9 p.m. the other day. I'm like, you know what? I'll just backdate it a day and upload them have them go live at like 9 in the morning. And if people watch them, cool. If they don't, whatever. It's there. But I
Yeah.
figured it was worth documenting it that way, so that way it's kind of like there's something to show people like what went into making this thing if they're curious. And I might do for like a finished design at the end. I might like lump together all the designing days for say like the locomotive. And oh, Rick's going to bed. Night, Rick.
Night,
Have a good
Rick.
one, dude.
Thank you for joining.
So I might like lump it all together to make like one long video showing the whole design process from start to finish for that thing. But it's kind of a cool challenge actually, and I might not be able to do it every single day, but it's kind of fun actually.
That's cool. So when do you start class again?
Third week of August.
Third week August. Man.
Yeah, so I still got a little bit of time, but I'm kind of like running around trying to get things organized, get things filmed. I mean, thankfully I was able to shoot a ton of stuff down at my parents' house, which I'm super stoked about. Some of the stuff is fully shot down there. Some of it was stuff that I could only shoot down there and then release, or it's like the GoPro videos were shot down there and released down there, obviously. But it's like I'm working on Bazooka Plasma's traveling guinea pig model, which is totally cool. That I actually filmed the time lapse for down at my parents' house. And then I'm doing all the prep work and paint work and stuff up at the house. So this one is probably, I got to admit, one of my favorite models as like a knickknack model, which I really don't print for space reasons, but it's like one of my favorites just because I had two guinea pigs about 6, 7 years ago when I was younger down at my parents' house. And when I found somebody that actually modeled something like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got to print that. And it's like such a unique model too, because it's like it's traveling. It's got its little satchel and its walking cane and it's upright and it's waving. I'm like, dude, that thing is awesome. So Bazooka Plasma, if you are watching this and you come up with any more designs, dude, I will gladly print them and show them off on the channel because I love them. I mean, the guy's got some really cool like cat ones as well. They're really well done models. They're on Thingiverse. I'll post a link to them in the chat area if you guys are interested in them. But that one's something that I shot down there that I'm working on now, but I shot the time lapse down there, so it's kind of like one of those things. But yeah, I'm kind of in panic mode trying to film a lot. I think when school starts up, I'm going to go back to my Saturday release schedule just so I don't burn myself out or anything. But I'm trying to like build up a repository of videos now, so if things get crazy, I can just go make private to public. Done.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just in case things get crazy or things happen. Because I mean, I understand that everybody understands that okay, stuff comes up, but I hate playing the oh, I'm not going to be releasing for 3 months because something happened and I didn't think ahead to, you know, film a lot of stuff while I had the time too, kind of like save up my money while the time was good, so I have it for a rainy day. Kind of doing that right now. I'm kind of filming and stuff now, so that way if I have a rainy day or 5, I'm not screwed, you know. And I know there's going to be times where I can film other stuff, but I just want to, you know, get as much done now, so if I have to kind of coast for a while, I'm good in that department. But I'm not trying to cut my quality by any means though to do this. I'm trying to keep the same quality, if not better, and keep churning it, because I'd rather turn out good videos, unless it's something like last minute, like, hey, you know, this went wrong, so don't do this sort of thing, if you know what I mean. But
It's
yeah.
just like with me, you know about it, and Curtis, and I sent a message to Heather that you know about what's going on with my mom, and so I got to kind of get some videos built up here pretty soon myself. You know, kind of get things, you know, kind of ready for when the time comes where I can't make a video. So I won't do it tonight, but tomorrow I'm gonna start printing some fidget spinners for a friend of mine and get those going, and then so I'll get those recorded when I do that. And then after that, I've got some items around here I've been meaning to do some reviews on, unboxing and reviews. So I'll probably do a few of those, kind of get those built up.
Sorry about the noise there for a second. My phone just told me that it's losing a little bit of power, so I was getting my phone charger plugged in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, live streaming through your phone sucks your battery down.
Yeah, it does. Did you see I don't know if you saw the video I did on Periscope when I was down at Paso Robles.
No, I didn't see that one.
I live streamed that concert as Matchbox 20.
Uh-huh.
I finished it with 4% left on the battery.
Ouch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I took it all, and it's like they came back for the encore deal, and it's like, okay, this is going to go for so long. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, I didn't think they're going to play that song. Oh boy, am I going to have enough?
There are literally some days where my phone like runs just fine, and then there's other days where it's just like it nosedives, and I'm like, what the heck? I didn't have Snapchat running the whole day, which kills your battery. I didn't have like live streaming running the whole day, which kills your battery. It's like I was just taking photos and that was it. Wow. Fail.
I didn't know you Snapchat.
Sometimes. I mostly do it just to annoy old friends of mine. Otherwise, it's like the world's most lame and dumb app ever created. I'm like, what's the point? But it's like how I keep in touch with a few friends of mine that aren't on Facebook. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it.
I've got a few friends like that too. That's all they do is Snapchat. They don't go on Facebook. They don't go on Twitter. It's just Snapchat, and it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, with the program. Yeah, personally, it's like the dumbest thing ever created. But if that's the only way I got to keep in touch with people, well, you know, so what? So be it. You know, I'm not going to force them onto a platform they don't want to use. You know?
Yeah, just like before I started doing the Twitter because of the channel, I was always doing Facebook. That's all I ever did. And then I tried going into Twitter and I couldn't get the hang of it, and I just gave up on it because I actually had my own personal Twitter account, and I tried it a couple times. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, hang this. And then whenever I got into YouTube, it's like everybody's on Twitter. It's like, okay, well, let's try going Twitter. And now I'm to the point now where I spend more time on Twitter on my YouTube screen name that I've completely abandoned my my personal one, and I'm to the point where I barely get on Facebook to check my personal one on there now.
It's like for me, I still use Instagram, but the thing is, since I've been so busy with other stuff, it's like, you know, I'll snap an Instagram pic of something I'm working on and post it up, but it's not like before where I used to do it a lot more often. It's not that I consider Instagram dead or anything like that. I mean, I still use it. It's just because it's like I feel like you can only post so many 3D prints of something before it just becomes the same old, oh my gosh, you posted another dang 3D printer thing, or oh look, it's another machining post that I've done. You know, I try and mix things up so that way it just doesn't seem like that's all that I post on there. You know, I kind of keep it mixed up so that way I know that I'm keeping, you know, everybody happy, and I find it makes it more interesting for people because then they see it's a variety show. It's not just, oh, he just posts this, he just posts that, he just posts trees, he just posts machining. You know, there's variety to it. So you kind of show your diverse set of interests while doing it. But yeah, I noticed that a lot of people are on Twitter now, which is interesting because I initially got a Twitter account just because I knew that SF Muni, the transit agency out here that's pretty, they have a Twitter account. And then when I was riding BART a lot, I'd follow BART. And then when I was riding Caltrain a lot, it's like how I'd keep updated on issues and things like that. And then when I got to know people on commuter rail out here, it's like I could tell them like, hey, dispatch probably didn't tell you this, but there is fill in the blank going on ahead, so that way they could alert, the train full of people, hey, we got an incident ahead, so we're gonna have to hold the train here. So if you want to seek alternate forms of transportation, you can do so. Da 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 da. For big events like fatalities or broken down trains or major stuff like that that was going to tie us up for a while. So that way they could know to tell the engineer to hold at a certain station and wait, blah, 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 that sort of stuff, which was nicer than just sitting for like 45 minutes between stations going, wow, we ain't gone nowhere.
Or the guy that climbed up on the overpass or whatever it was by the train tracks.
Yeah.
About what, 2 months ago?
There are so many things that I've seen that I cannot publicly talk about that I'm just like, oh man, you guys are nuts. Like people like people around the railroad tracks are just like, oh my gosh, you are an idiot. I mean, I literally saw one guy one night come within about 2 seconds of getting struck by a train because he decided to run across the tracks like right in front. And I'm like, you gone. Bye-bye. Like just waiting to hear. And then be like, oh boy. I've seen fights break out on the train. That was scary. Some dude decides to take on like 2 of the conductors, and one of them's an ex-cop, and one of them looks like he probably either was a prison guard or was a prisoner at some point, like 2 beefy guys. And I'm just like, you're an idiot. When they were telling me the story, I'm like, that guy's an idiot. Oh, it was nuts. But yeah,
Man.
that was interesting. But yeah, people are stupid. I will put it that way.
Yeah, they are. There's some winners everywhere.
Yeah, I saw my fair share of them. So do you want to make the announcement for the Harry line?
I have it going until 12 or till 11:59, so I gotta wait a few minutes.
You don't want to rip off those like last second entries.
No, I don't want to do that to them.
Oh, that's just cruel, dude. You gotta like totally cut it off early so that way they can all be like Jimmy rigged the thing.
Jimmy's such a jerk. He took it, he cut it off early.
The Guinness commented, been 3D printing hobby about 4 to 5 months. This hobby is really addictive. Yeah, I will admit, when I first got into 3D printing, the only reason why I bought a 3D printer, the whole reason why I bought one initially is I was thinking I was going to be like designing left and right model train accessories and crap. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be designing model train accessories left and right. I need to prototype it in house and maybe do production in house and da da da. No. Fast forward about 4 years, and I'm finally getting around to doing that. And now I'm doing stuff like the little locomotive here, which is like resin printing material. It's like now that I've done it for so long, I'm kind of like, I would love a resin printer, but I just can't justify the cost of it. I can't justify the mess of it. And I can't justify the, burning through trays and crap like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody was gracious enough to buy me and send me a resin printer, oh heck yes, I would use the heck out of that thing. But at this point, I still just can't justify it. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like I'm torn because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've designed that I'd love to produce in house, and I don't have any problems paying somebody to do it. But when you're paying $8 in setup and shipping fees minimum to print a little batch of stuff, it gets really expensive really fast. And then just the price of the resin prints alone adds up really fast. And it's like, man, should I really consider this? I don't know yet, but it's tricky.
And then there's the curing process. Don't you have to use like alcohol or something to dip them in?
the way it works is, because I've done a bit of resin printing over at a friend's place a long time ago. The way it works is you print the item, then you put it into IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and then you either let it soak or you can use an ultrasonic cleaner, which is really nice if you have a bunch of tiny little openings in something. Really works good, like incredibly well. You stick it in there, and what that does is it helps remove the excess uncured resin on the outside. What some people will do, and it makes sense, is they'll literally just like leave the print to sit and drip for like 10 or 15 minutes, depending upon how picky they are about conserving resin. Usually you only save like 5 drips of resin, which I really don't know how much that works out to volumetrically. But if you're doing a huge batch of stuff, 5 drips of resin probably adds up over time. But the way it works is you get off the excess resin from the print, then you put it under a UV lamp for a set period of time, and then that fully cures the print. So it's not sticky and it's not, it's hardened, and then your print is done. So there's that. So yeah, there is a little bit of a curing process, and then obviously there's support material removal, regardless of what method and all that stuff. But it's, the main thing for me is the mess, and that's the most frustrating part. Is it's like, well, I'd probably have to set the thing up in the garage. I don't know if the humidity would be bad for the resin or not, and I'd have to keep an area clean and all that stuff. It's like, I don't know if I can do that, because I'd definitely not be running a resin printer in my bedroom. Absolutely not.
Okay, so it looks like we are at midnight now.
Wait. While you're doing that, the Guinness commented, I did buy my first 3D printer to make spare parts for quadcopters. Oh, that's cool. I've actually printed some drone accessories myself, and it works good. But that's actually a really cool use, especially considering how many 3D printable drones and stuff there are now. It's pretty sweet. King of Random says he didn't register for the line. He wants to try printing his own. Try doing it big like Joel did.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on over here. Get this knocked out.
Get her done. Get her done, Jimmy.
Let's see. Did it show up yet?
Bated breath.
Okay. So let's go ahead and draw the winner.
And the winner is?
The winner is?
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. Tim O'Sullivan. Tim O'Sullivan. Sweet. I'll take and I'll send him a message here, and let's go ahead and stop that. There we go. I'll send him a message pretty soon here, and let him know that he won it.
Cool. Oh, wow. He's in Ireland. It's pretty cool.
Is he?
Yeah. He visited your website.
My very first international winner.
Enjoy paying through the nose to ship internationally.
You know what? I'm proud to do it. I want to do it. I've been wanting to find somebody internationally to send something to for so long. So this is great.
Hey, Kat just dropped in on the chat. How's it going?
Hey, bring the chat back. I lost my chat. Let's see.
You're always losing chat.
I am. I really got to get this all figured out.
Curtis says it's not that bad to the UK. Yeah, but then again, when you're used to shipping little packages within the US for like $2 and $3, and it's like $13, $14 to send something internationally, it's like, what the heck? I can ship a medium flat rate box for $2 more. So, Kat, were you able to get your Block Zero, whatever broke on it, finished? And did the cat wake up from its nap eventually, I hope?
So how you doing, Kat? I'm glad you made it.
It's like the one drawback of like the late night streams is nobody in the USA is awake, but then like everybody in Europe is awake. So it's always like that that like dead zone time that we have, like when nobody's on there, because everybody in the US is like, screw this, we're going to bed. And everybody in Europe is like, hey, those two guys are on. Yeah, let's watch them.
Well, you know what? To be completely honest with you, only according to the analytics, 28% of my viewers are in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read that. It's like, okay.
I haven't really checked my analytics in a long time. I probably should do that, but I'm kind of like, You know,
Honestly, I don't drill that far deep into it. I used to really look into it, and I'm to the point now where I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I just look to see how many subscribers I got, if I'm losing subscribers or not, and if I'm gaining subscribers, then I check to see what video is actually doing really good.
I just dropped from 686 to 687 on subscribers. I'm so butthurt right now. Whoever dropped me, I'm just kidding.
Oh no. If you're not subscribed to Calvin, please go subscribe to him now.
Undo the wrong that was done to me. You can do it. No, I'm just kidding. I will say though, it has actually been insane how fast it's gone up, the subscriber count. I mean, it took me forever to hit 500. Then I gained a fair bit on Dustin's thing, and then it's just been like this slow progression upwards. I'm starting to actually think, because I do want to do a 1K giveaway, but the thing is I don't want to wait until like I've got like 3,000, like all of a sudden like I hit 1K and just like skyrockets or something like that. It's like I need to start to like talk to people and be like, hi, I really don't know when this is going to happen, but would you be interested in sponsoring my 1K giveaway when it eventually happens in like the next 6 months or something?
Yeah. Hey, King of Random's heading to bed. Have a great night. Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks for joining, and thanks for the tips and stuff. It was definitely taken into account, and we eventually get around to shooting our safety video.
It's going to be actually taking a smoke detector and playing with that to see about cutting the power is actually a really good idea.
That's a really good idea, and I'm genuinely curious as well. What's the response time of it to the printer fire? Like, pretty much time it like what has the fastest response to a fire, smoke detector, fireball, or fire sprinkler? You know, how big? My big thing is how big does something have to get before something triggers? That's what I'm really curious about personally.
Well, this fire sprinkler, the one that you got is what, 68 C, 155 Fahrenheit temperature
Yeah,
before it pops?
yeah. But the thing is, you got to remember, you know, how because of that spray head thing, how much heat, you know, because the thing's not sitting sideways, it's sitting vertically. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a while before everything heats up to the point, and you want it that way, obviously, so it doesn't false trigger. But I'm genuinely curious how much time it's gonna take for that to trigger and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and I'm only being like super hyper scientific about things because I did science fairs as a kid, and the one thing I will say is you can never have enough data points because it's that one data point you didn't think to try. It's the data point that you're glad you did because it like really explains everything in the long run.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
that's kind of why it's like when I did the rust removal thing, it's like why, you know, ran two side-by-side tests. Even though I knew probably what the end results were going to be, I wanted to have side-by-side results to show, you know, what kind of differences do things make and, you know, pros and cons and all that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Kat's saying she wished she would have more subscribers. You definitely need more subscribers. You need to get like your really fluffy kitty into your videos. I think that would really like boost the subscriber count.
Oh, it would.
Because
People
everybody
love
loves cat
cats.
videos. I showed Danielle the photo of Kat's cat, no pun intended, like chilling out on the floor while she's taking a video, while she's like tearing apart her printer. Danielle's like, "Oh my gosh, that is like the world's fluffiest cat ever." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah,
I just
it's
want to grab
crazy."
it and just rough it
Yeah.
up.
And Danielle has some fluffy cats. I got to meet them when we went down to when we were meeting up to go down to LA for the day. I showed up early like I always do, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to see the cats?" I'm like, "Darn right, I want to see the cats." And they're like hiding in some like towel closet, and they're like these little like they're like living like fluffy dusters, and I'm like, "You are fluffy. That is cool. I'm jealous." And it's not that I hate cats. I'm just not a big cat person because 9 times out of 10, most cats are complete and utter jerks. But there are those cats that are really nice. So it's kind of like, cats. It's like they're either they like you or they don't, and you can never tell. Like they'll like turn like that on you, which is the main reason why I'm a fan of guinea pigs because they at least warn you when they're getting cranky and stuff. And they usually, at least mine, wanted to hang out with me and stuff. So it was kind of like, okay, good. Somebody likes to hang out with me. They're not being a jerk. Yay.
Or just like I used to have my little dog Fluffy. I forget how many years, what, 12, 13 years that we had her. And then she passed away a few months ago. Still to this day, I still miss her. But we had these kittens that were one of the cats, the stray cat that's around here, had kittens. And it's these kittens that come up, and it's like they wanted to be held and all that. It's like, oh, you know what? That's going to be my new Fluffy. I'm going to take this little kitten. I'm going to take her in, and that's going to be my new pet. She hates me. I go to pet her. She does not want me to. If I go to pet her, she pulls away and just takes off. But yet, whenever she was a little kitten, she wanted to be picked up. She wanted to be held. Now it's like, don't touch me. Leave me alone. Don't look at me.
It's called Cat Logic 101, Jimmy.
Yeah, apparently. I think I need a dog.
The only other reason why I'm a big fan of guinea pigs is the fact that they're like really cheap to take care of. And you don't have to worry when you're gone about them tearing your house up because they live in their own little house. And it's like, oh, good. Don't have to worry about you tearing up stuff. But yeah, that's the main reason why I'm a big fan of them, is just because they're like easy to take care of, and they tend to get along with people well, which is a bonus. They're not like a dog or a cat where you got to worry about them like throwing up on your rug and peeing all over your heirloom furniture and crap like that.
That's right. Cat got a small resin printer?
Oh, that is not cool. Oh man, I quit. I'm done.
Hey, Cat, would you like a new job being my co-host?
Hey. I didn't put in my resignation yet. I'm doing a Barney Fife right now. I just say I'm going to quit, and then the next morning I show back up to my job again. I loved it. Every single time he'd give his letter of resignation, Andy would always put it into the folder with like all the other ones and just be like, nope, not buying it, Barney. I know you're not serious.
Oh man. I guess
he wants to get into that is cool.
I know.
Well,
what brand is that printer?
Makex. Look at that. I know my friend. It's a desktop DLP printer. It's got a build volume of 45 by 25 by. Oh, that thing is cool.
Man.
I like that. Oh man, you're killing me, Cat. You're killing me right now. That is seriously cool. How much is it? Just pre-order? Can't tell. Huh. That is really interesting. And I'm not checking the chat right now because I really don't care because I'm staring at something cool that I want.
Makex.com. Makex.com.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Ouch. That's expensive though. Yeah, that's about the price range of like a Form 2, I think.
Oh, was it about $3,000?
Yeah, Formlabs Form 2 is about 3,500. This is about 3,600 to 3,900.
Cat backed it on Kickstarter.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool.
You got a good deal on it then.
Well, I will say, being it's a DLP, it can print way faster than a SLA, which is the Formlabs, because the DLP projects the image onto the screen. So it doesn't matter if it's really tiny or really large. It just bakes the whole tray in one go instead of like tracing the design out for 5 minutes. It's like the problem with the Formlabs is, well, a couple of problems. And mind you, this was done on a friend's Formlabs that was a pre-production model, so it had some bugs with it. But one of the problems was you could see on large prints the galvanometers inaccuracies, the thing that moved the mirrors. You could actually see their inaccuracies on the print. There would be like the surface wouldn't be perfectly smooth on a vertical print. I think it's gotten a lot better with software and hardware upgrades and stuff, because his was like a first gen model that they pretty much just like sent to him like, here, try this out. And that was kind of a letdown. I mean, that's like my only experience with one was that, which wasn't the best. But I will say anytime that you have mechanical stuff, you are going to have tolerance issues, which is why if I was to get a printer, I'd probably get a DLP, just because of the fact that all you have moving is a Z axis, you know. So that's, you know, it's one less thing to go wrong. But the other problem is obviously the tray life. That's the main issue. It's the tray life, the resin cost, and all that stuff. But
did you see how much she paid for it?
Yeah, I genuinely hope it works out. I mean, that's not a bad price for a DLP printer though, because they tend to cost more than an SLA. But I mean, I'll put it this way: if anybody wants, like I said in the GoPro video, if anyone wants to send me a Ultimaker 3, feel free to. Now I'm kind of thinking about, well, if anybody wants to send me a resin printer, feel free to. But I'm not expecting any big packages showing up in my mailbox anytime soon. I need my secret sponsor to like. No, I'm just kidding. I won't go there.
I wasn't expecting one either.
Well, that thing didn't cost $3K. That thing cost like $300.
Yeah, but still.
I know.
All of a sudden, you missed a package. What do you mean I missed a package? I'm not expecting any packages.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. That little smallest thing, I was telling my parents about it because I was explaining how PJ, sent it to you randomly, and they're like, "Wait, what the heck? Let me just send Jimmy randomly a printer." I'm like, "Yeah, because people love Jimmy so much, and Jimmy's such an awesome guy that somebody just bought Jimmy a printer." I'm like, "It's not the same guy who was nice enough to buy me the laptop, though. Not totally different guy." Because my parents were like getting confused already. I'm like, oh boy, I'm not explaining nuclear physics, guys. I'm just explaining. My dad was curious because everybody's doing the Patreon thing, and he's like, "What the heck is Patreon? How does that work?" I'm like, think PBS Pledge Drive without the annoying PBS Pledge Drive dude talking about how they got Crystal Geyser to donate their drinks and they got some local restaurant to donate the food, and he's not trying to pitch you like they're the oh look, we traveled around the world and shot this crappy footage DVD tape for like 3 times more than you can buy it off Amazon in 2 weeks. I'm like, pretty much the way it works is I'm like, think offering at church digitally, and if you're lucky, you get rewards. I'm like, that's pretty much the way it works. The only problem is, like you said, I mean, my main thing with personally not wanting to use Patreon is when you said how much of every dollar they take in fees. I'm like, man, PayPal donation takes way less percentage in fees.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest. I know you don't get all the features. Oh, look, I have Patreon. Like, you can throw money at me on Patreon. But it's like that fee is just like, no, deal breaker.
It's one of those things where I don't really mind it that much, because the majority of the money that I take in, I actually donate to a lot of the other YouTubers.
Right. So, I remember you telling me like how little you keep at the end of every month, and I'm like, wow, Patreon's making a killing off of, the fees of everybody just shuffling money around from each other.
Yeah, that's one of those things we try not to pay attention to.
But by the time money's changed 5 people's hands, Patreon's made everybody's Patreon's made a full dollar more, and everybody's out like $1 all around. It's like, oh man.
It's one of those things where we just all go like this. La 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 la.
And I'll be perfectly honest. The other reason, I mean, it's like I have in the bottom of my videos, I've been starting to put in my little PayPal donation link thing, just to put it in there as kind of like a discreet way of saying, if you want to support the channel directly, you can do that. But I almost feel awkward in a sense at the end of a video being like, throw money at my channel because I'm broke and I need money. You know, it just seems, I mean, I guess maybe it's the way I was raised and stuff, but it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody who does this, 'cause I mean, I understand, you know, everybody has their different reasons for doing it, but to me, it just seems almost kind of awkward in a sense to kind of sit there and like beg for money from people. It's kind of like, okay, I mean, that's cool, that's your video, your thing, but it's almost, to me, it's a little bit awkward, but that's just me, you
I'm
know.
kind of the same way. I whenever I first started the Patreon thing, I was invited by one of my friends on YouTube. He sent me the link and he says, "Why don't you go ahead and join it?" And I'm like, "Because I'm not a very big channel, you know." And he's like, "It doesn't matter how big you are, just join it." Said it's up to the individual if they want to donate to your channel. I'm like, that's a good point. You know, it's not like I'm forcing it down somebody's throat or anything like that. It's like it's there if somebody would like to. If they don't, that's just like with adding your PayPal thing on there. It's the same way. You know, it's like if you'd like to, great. If you don't, that's great too.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the other thing is for me, I feel more comfortable if I'm promoting stuff that I'm making, kind of like the keychains, or I'm going to be working on a more, I just put in the order today for the hardware so I can start making hardware packs for the GoPro handles. Because I feel like they'd be a lot more popular if somebody could just buy a pack that has all the O-rings, has the fancy brass expanding nuts, and has, you know, literally you just, I'm arbitrarily throwing out a number there, so don't quote me on this, but like like $8 for one size pack that does the mini handle, and $10 for the big one, and it has all the hardware you need. Somebody just picks that up. I mean, I'm going to be pricing it so that way I'm making a fair price, you know, a profit off of it. But you know, when you price it out, you know, you buy a bag of 25 connectors at $10 a bag. You know, when you're only putting 2 connectors in a bag, the price per connector is pretty low. So I'm trying to keep the prices down, and I might even, you know, so that way it's kind of like it's affordable. Just buying a bag of 25 of this and buying a bag of 100 of that and buying a bag of 5 of this at the hardware store, which gets really expensive. So I might even price it out, kind of like, well, here's how much a bag would cost you, and here's how much this would cost you, and here's how much this would cost you, to show you what you're saving. Plus, you don't have all this excess lying around. And I might also sell individual packs of the stuff if people just want one of something. But I feel more comfortable if I'm hawking, if I'm selling things that I'm producing and I'm advertising that, partly just because, you know, when I eventually go over to SF State and I eventually go looking for a job, I really want to be able to say, look, I have a small business running. I'm not, maybe not making a bunch of money off of it, but these are things I've designed, things I've created, and I'm learning business and management skills by doing this, by, you know, offering these items for sale and advertising it and things like that. So that way it's more than just, yeah, I got a bunch of random people to donate money to my YouTube channel, and that's how I got the money, and that's how I got now. It's like, oh, look, I'm actually taking and trying to do things, you know, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's like with me, it's I was looking forward to the day where if I earned enough money to where I could afford to buy the filament and not have to be out of my pocket on it.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly getting to that point to where if I need a roll of filament, it's not breaking the bank because I'm you know, there's enough ad revenue, there's enough Patreon, everything's kind of coming together where I can do it. I'd love to be the point where I could say, okay, just like with this deal with the fireballs and all that. I'd love to be to the point where it'd be like, oh great, I could just go ahead and buy 2 or 3 of those and
Yeah.
you know,
And it's
to
not
use on the channel that way. Or hey, I would really like to take and buy that printer and try it out on the channel, you know, and stuff like that. But
right.
that's a long way away.
I'm not making any true predictions at this point, but I have visions. If the Fireballs video takes off, we might be able to recoup our costs pretty easily in ad revenue. Because I mean, I could be totally wrong. I mean, I thought my sister's first tiny house video that got over 3,000 views in about a year was amazing. Sucked. Nothing against the tiny house. I just thought it was like a boring video that nobody was going to want to watch. And I thought the video of me and Danielle in the ocean with GoPro rigs freezing our butt off was going to get a ton of views because it's GoPros and we're using them in the water, blah, 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 blah. And then no. GoPro handle video, which was shot and released around the same time, has barely got 100, and Tiny House has got like over 3K, and I'm like, what? So but then again, I've kind of figured out it's like the epoxy granite intro video has got like over 200 views in about a month, and I'm like, the heck? So you never know, but I honestly think though that this video, either for being super controversial or super popular, is going to get a bit of airtime just because we're going to be doing stuff and things that not everybody's doing. You know, that's my thoughts. I could be totally wrong though.
I predict we'll get 100 views.
We better get more than that, or I'm going to be sitting there like, wow, that was a fail, but it was fun.
I've bought parts for my printer, and I've done this upgrade, I've done that upgrade. The wobble bracket I did for that first printer of mine did really good. That was my #1 video for a long time. And then this. It's completely blown every video I have ever done, and probably every video I will ever do, completely out of the water.
And literally and don't get me wrong, and this is just me staring at it from an observational point of view. It's a trinket, you know, it's not a practical print like, oh my gosh, I fixed my printer, wow, this is gonna blow up because everybody wants no. Yeah, nobody wants to watch that. Everybody wants to see Jimmy's hairstyling tricks.
Take the comb, you know, and somebody says, did you use a comb? I'm like, yeah. Why? I'm like, it was mainly for effects.
Honestly, I think, and this is no diss to Joel's, but I think the fact, show the hairy lion up close because I actually want to see it. I think, your hairdo actually looks like a hairdo. It doesn't look like mangy, matted crap because you used a comb. Because a lot of people's, it's like the problem is the hair all melts into one mangy blob. Not, oh wow, I've got a lion with a mane here and I combed it with a comb so it looks good. So whoever you are who combed about the comb, seriously, that's the reason why Jimmy's looks so good is because he used a dang comb.
Now the first one, the one that the video that got all the views, I didn't. On that one, I just did it, and it like you said, it matted right there in the front. And every one of them I've ever seen, that's where they mat. So this time I actually took the comb and did it.
No, I think it was actually a really bright move on your part to use the comb because it actually looks like hair. It doesn't look like mangy matted crap. No offense to anybody else's, but it's like, see, it's the little things like that which you do in a video, or just the little things you do that, make it better. Just my opinion, though.
Of course, then again, he did the huge one, though.
Yeah, but the thing is that the hair size was probably about the same size just because it was bridging in over air.
I don't know, because I think he had to have that one specially designed by the guy that made it, if I remember right, because with it, you have to slice it at 0.2 millimeter for this size. So in order to G-Max it, I think he had to take, and especially because with that one, it's that's the 2.85 filament.
No, it's 1.75.
I think he probably had to go with a taller layer height.
No, the G-Max runs 1.75 filament, but I think he had to do something custom design-wise. What I'm talking about is the hair size was probably about the same.
Yeah.
Overall, so I mean, I know the print was bigger, but the hair size is dictated mostly by the nozzle size. I mean, it's not like he threw a 1 millimeter nozzle in there, made 1 millimeter hair strands. So, but yeah, I think yours though wins the award for the best hairdo, just because it's not melted, But I do have to admit it is pretty cool, even though I don't see myself printing one, to be honest.
So one of my friends at work, he says, "You know why this thing is popular, right?" And I'm like, "No, I have no idea." He said, "Well, it looks gold." I'm like, "But it's bronze." He goes, "Yeah, but on video it looks gold."
It does look gold on video.
And what he was telling me is that in the weed smoking culture,
this is getting off to a great start already. Wait, let me get my bong.
Yeah. I'm like,
Oh wait, I stuck it. I
okay.
threw it out loud. But never mind.
But he's telling me about the golden lions and all that, and he says, and it's revered. It's something that's like looked up to, and I'm like, I'd never heard this. So I don't know if he was just feeding me a bunch of garbage or what was going on.
Maybe he puffed a little too much before he talked to you.
Probably. Although he wasn't going, you.
At least he wasn't going, dude, where's the munchies at, man? I got a good case of the munchies going on right now. Where's some food at? I got the munchies.
We got a vending machine right there at the back door for my work.
Oh,
And they have this, it's called the Munchie something or other. It's like, it's got all the different
like munchie mix.
Like Doritos and pretzels and a bunch of other stuff all in it. It's called a Munchie mix or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I know who we're angling that one toward. Jack in the Box has the Munchie meal.
Maybe I think I figured out why Taco Bell started doing the fourth meals, because they were getting too many annoyed weed smokers showing up after hours trying to get food.
That's exactly what it was. That and just like with the Munchie meal at Jack in the Box, they will not sell it to you for the $6.99 or whatever it is until after 9 p.m. If you try ordering it earlier in the day, it's like $9.
Oh gosh. I rarely go out late at night, so the only thing that I know is like happy hour at Taco Bell for their slush drinks, but I'm like never at a Taco Bell during those hours. It sucks for me.
Yeah, Jack in the Box has that Munchie meal, and usually it's the sandwiches always has like nacho cheese on it and jalapenos. No matter what it is, it's like nacho cheese and jalapenos, 2 tacos, and they call it halvesy fries. So you get like half curly fries, half regular fries. It's literally whatever's left over.
Hey, I mean, if they can make a couple bucks off of it, I'm all for it.
Exactly. And it tastes really good too.
I'll be honest, I can't have nacho cheese sauce because it makes me sick to my stomach, but the rest of it actually sounds decent.
Yeah, and they'll put like ranch dressing or something like that on the chicken sandwiches, and it's actually really good tasting sandwiches.
Which is surprising because usually fast food's not that great tasting.
Yeah, of course.
And
I was raised on
foodie channel.
I was raised on fast food.
I wasn't. I was raised on frozen turkey sandwiches on dry bread.
Oh man.
Yeah, because my mom was so paranoid about the turkey going bad if it got warm that she'd literally like sandwich it inside of a cooler between like 20 blue ice. So the stupid thing would be frozen when you get it, and then she'd have like some sourdough bread that we would have bought that sat in the car for a couple of hours. So the outside has gotten nice and dry from sitting in the car, and the bag's all wet inside. It was just like, I do not miss those days. I would rather skip a meal than eat one of those. No thanks.
Well, Calvin, we've been at it since
11:30.
Actually, we started talking with each other at like
half hour before.
Yeah, it's like 10:30 when we started talking, and we're at 12:30 now. So, you want to go ahead and call it?
Yeah, we'll call it. I'm starting to crash. Dr. Pepper's not working anymore.
I know. I gotta go get me some dinner. I haven't had any dinner tonight yet.
Oh man, I need to eat some food before I go to bed.
Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us in the chat. Calvin, take it away.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us for randomness as always. Like I said before, we're still trying to find our niche, if you will. We're definitely getting better with staying on topic, even though we tend to ramble off on side topics. But I guess that's what makes it so much fun to tune in, is we have a set topic for about like 9% of the time. The 90% of the time is us talking about other stuff, and 1% of us is just acting like idiots laughing. But no, I really enjoy you guys who pop into the stream and all that stuff. It means a lot. And yeah, thanks again to everybody who popped in, and we're gonna see you guys later. And thanks again to the Guinness and the Cat for hanging around towards the end, and your compliments, guys. We genuinely appreciate it, especially considering that we're so small at this point. But it's it's definitely a fun outlet for both of us to get together. So if you guys haven't subscribed to either of our channels, give me a subscribe, give Jimmy a subscribe if you guys feel like it. I can promise you we both have some pretty awesome stuff coming down the pipeline. And I'm not just saying that to say that, I genuinely mean it. And hopefully in a couple months we can do that firefighting video. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast to do that.
If
We
only
just got to
that
figure out exactly where we're going to do it at.
Can we do it over at your sandblasting lot?
I was wondering about that. I got to talk to the guy over there, but no, I got a few other places we can do it at. I know a few people.
Sounds good. I'll definitely drop some crappy sketches of ideas I have before then. But yeah, that one will be fun. That one's still months out, but gives us time to plan and work out logistics and crap.
Well, guys, thank you once again for joining, and hopefully we'll do this again next week. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Take care.
See ya.